A great way to start your day with all the news, weather, and sports you need, interesting interviews, and friendly conversation from two guys that go together like Scooby and Shaggy. Mike Will and Tyson Havronic.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Huddle Up here on Extreme Sports. It is a Wednesday, the 20th of November for 2024. Off we go another day with Mike Will and Tyson Havronic. The Nebraska women's basketball team was on the floor last night. We'll tell you how they did coming up. Hastings College volleyball team receiving some honors yesterday as the all-conference teams were announced yesterday. MIAA announced their all-conference football team yesterday, and the Lopers had a unanimous selection on the defensive side of the ball. And the college football playoff rankings were released last night with a couple of surprises and a big game of the NBA last night. Just some of the things we'll be talking about today. Going to be hearing from Nebraska offensive coordinator Dana Holgorsen. Told you he was going to be before the media for the first time yesterday. He was. We'll have some comments from him coming up. And then Amy Williams, the head basketball coach at Nebraska, is going to have a couple of comments coming up for us today. So a jam-packed day here today as we get you up and get you started here on another work day on Extreme Sports.
And a good morning to you, Mike, as we've got plenty to get to on the local news front as well. Lots of new faces going to be coming into the community. A new superintendent for Hastings Public Schools going to be in the works. Also a new face over at the Heartland Event Center as they have named a new executive director. A Heartbeat Creative District grant that was awarded for the city of Hastings, and then a scary situation last night with a garage fire that was quickly put out. So we'll get to all those stories and more coming up on the local news front too, because that's what we do here on Huddle Up. A little news, a little sports to get you up and get you going here on a Wednesday.
I'm concerned about your voice. It doesn't look like it's back to 100%, or it doesn't sound like you're back to 100% yet. You shouldn't yell at your TV set constantly on this Saturday afternoon when you're in the communication business.
Well, hopefully that we'll hear those comments from Coach Holgorsen that will reverse course and not have me be screaming at my television set so much on a Saturday. That and just what some of the crap that's been going around in the air lately. It's all allergies. It's all in the voice. I feel great. Just been stumbling to get back up to full strength. So lots of hot tea and throat lozenges. Looking to further get this baby powered up and ready for Friday.
You know what you need?
What's that?
You need honey.
Honey?
You need to consume some honey some way. That usually helps voices. I think my wife had some kind of a concoction of hot water and honey or something back when we used to do about 1 million games in a week, and I was starting to get hoarse by the end of the week. She had some kind of a concoction that she stirred up. She's around today. She's around the studios today. I'll see what that formula was. I think it was honey and I forgot.
And tea, isn't it?
Honey and tea or hot water or something.
Yeah, I've always been told honey and hot tea go together.
So you're skipping the honey? You're not a honey believer?
I'm not Winnie the Pooh. No. Don't need to be tossing honey in my coffee. My coffee is good just on its own, and it'll do the trick. And by the afternoon, I'm kind of up to normal. And then by the time we get back to the morning, we're back down to horse. But we'll get through it. We'll power through.
All right, you're listening to us on Extreme Sports here today. I know we're on the various sites now, x-streamsports.com. If you're watching on our website, thank you. If you're listening to us on your smartphone with our free mobile app, that's great too. Or how about your smart speaker at your place of business or at home today? We're on Roku TV, we're on Facebook Live, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on all those social media sites now as we continue to grow our platform. You can chime in with us anytime by giving us a call, 402-834-1330. That's the easiest way, or you can leave us a message on Facebook Live. Tyson is monitoring those comments in his studio, so if you'd like to join in on the show, lots of folks already in the lobby today, so to speak, watching us. We've got cameras set up in each one of our studios, so you can watch us do our thing each and every morning here on Extreme Sports, but we'd like to have you involved in our conversation throughout the morning, so leave us a message or give us a call at 402-834-1330. I guess we want to get started with the college football playoff rankings. They came out last night. This is the third installment as we head for the 12-team, or is it 16-team? 16-team playoff coming up for college football.
12
Boise, 12 teams.
12 team. Yeah, 4 byes, and then the 8 teams in the first round. Yep, 12.
So 12 altogether. Anyway, Boise State moved ahead of BYU in the ratings last night. Of course, BYU dropping from number 6 to number 14 after losing to Kansas 17-13 on Saturday. So the top 5 teams are the same: Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, and Indiana. Then rounding out the top 10 are Notre Dame, Alabama, Miami, Ole Miss, and Georgia. The first round matchups, if the playoffs were held today, first round matchups would look like this. Some good games. BYU would play at Ohio State. Georgia would be at Penn State. Ole Miss and Indiana, and Alabama at Notre Dame. So those would be the matchups, and then the other 4 teams that get the first round byes. So I guess I'm all right with that, and I think some great matchups in the first round for the college football playoffs. If the playoffs were held today, obviously there's still a lot of football to be played.
Well, shocker. We go to the 12-team playoff field, and next thing you know, there's some pretty palatable matchups. I feel like the college football playoffs getting to this point with 12 teams is kind of like us with Extreme Sports. What the hell didn't we do this sooner for? Why didn't we roll this out a lot sooner and give the consumer what they've been dying to see for the past, I don't know, 20 years in college football, ever since the BCS went away and they went to the college football playoff format and started it off with just 4 teams. We stayed at 4 teams in the dark ages of college football for far too long before they finally woke up and realized, hey, I don't know, maybe we could add more teams to make this more marketable and make this more fun. 12 teams is going to be fun. I think 16 ultimately, if they get to that point, will be even better. But I'm all for the expansion of playoffs. I'm all for more college football. And here we go. As you're turning over and saying, oh wow, there's some pretty darn good matchups at this point if things were to start today. And that's only going to improve as the season whittles itself out and some of those BYUs and Boise's get knocked out. So.
Remember, this time of the year in the past years, we were always discussing who was in and who was out of the top 4. You don't hear a lot of that right now with the 12 teams. The 12 teams that are there are pretty solid. This time of the year in the past, we were debating this all week long. Well, number 5, that should be number 4, and number 4 shouldn't be there, and I don't like number 3. Now you hear basically none of that. The 12 teams here, like we said, are pretty solid, and I think the people are pretty happy with what has transpired so far in the college football playoff system.
I think it's also a really bad look if you're sitting there as a university going, we shouldn't be the 13th best team in the land. You're not hearing near as many arguments about 13 versus 12, because if you got to argue yourself into the 12 spot, and maybe those conversations start to ramp up as the playoff race gets a little bit tighter and a little bit closer, and you start to compare resumes. But yeah, you're dead on. I mean, there's a lot more arguments and invalid arguments to try to find a top 4 than there is a top 12. I think with the top 12, I mean, if you have to argue yourself into the 12th place ranking, you haven't really had a good body of or a good enough body of work throughout the course of the regular season to even put yourself in that position to be a playoff team. And so yeah, you'll hear no arguments from me. And yeah, I think it's been great. I think it's been outstanding for college football.
NBA, you called this one yesterday.
Yep.
Boston beat Cleveland 120-117 last night. Normally, it'd be a whoopee game. Who cares in the month of November? But that was the first loss of the season for the Cavaliers. Cleveland is now 15-1 on the season. You kind of called this one yesterday when that game popped up. You said, look out for Boston. And last night they beat Cleveland by 3, 120-117.
Yeah. I didn't get to watch the game, but and truth be told, I'm not going to take a lot of credit for it. I said that Vegas had called the Celtics as a 5-point favorite, so Vegas thinks that Boston is going to be able to knock off the Cleveland Cavaliers' undefeated streak. I didn't put my money where my mouth was on that. I think it's way too early to start even scratching or hinting at betting basketball games. I haven't watched enough. There was MAC football on last night with Miami, Ohio, and St. Louis Blues hockey. They fell last night to the Minnesota Wild. Was watching my Blues lose again here in 2024. They're just a mess with injuries right now. Boston with the win knocks off the undefeated chatter. So we'll have more NBA talk coming up in about Christmas Day, about a month from now.
Yeah, it normally is a full slate of NBA games. So your St. Louis Blues, I'm sorry, but I'm not following hockey right now. All of a sudden, your Blues are out of the gate and not performing well, so your hockey season could come to an end before it really gets started. Is that what you're saying?
It's been a slow start. They went through an entire rebuild. First time in my experience as a Blues fan having to go through a rebuild, which is incredible when you think about franchises and how they go up and down and up and down. The Blues have always stayed consistently good, and obviously winning that Stanley Cup in 2019. They went through the rebuild last year and gutted the roster, took all the stars away and traded them away to other contenders, and so that they were slowly coming out of that rebuild this year. There was signs that this was going to be a more exciting team, and right out of the gates, they tripped out of the gates and sprained an ankle and an Achilles and then a knee, and some of our star players, some of our firepower has come out with injuries to start things off. I mean, I think their leading goal scorer, Jordan Kyrou, came in with 5 goals on the season, where most teams have a goal scorer with double digits by now. And so they're slow moving offensively. Only 2 last night against a Minnesota team, a vastly improved Minnesota team on the front line. But Blues have stumbled out of the gates, unlike the Cavaliers.
I didn't need a full recap of the NHL season.
You brought up the St. Louis Blues, and I'm a fan, and thus far I will. You
and about 2 other people are concerned about the St. Louis Blues hockey team stumbling out of the gates, but that's all right. That's what we do here. We talk about all kinds of sports. Anyway, you're waking up with Mike and Tyson this morning. This is Huddle Up on Extreme Sports. Again, give us a call if you have a chance. 402-834-1330 is our telephone number, or you can drop us a message on Facebook Live. We'd love to get you involved. Tomorrow on the show, Bob Jensen, right about this time, Bob Jensen from Huskerland Prep. He's going to join us. And he's going to talk about the state high school football finals that are coming up next Monday and Tuesday. He's kind of the high school guru, the high school know-it-all around here, this neck of the woods. He's going to join us on the show tomorrow to talk about the state championship football games. Of course, Sandy Creek involved with that on Monday, as the Cougars will take on Stanton on Monday for the Class D1 state championship, 2:45, 2:30 for the pregame show here on Extreme Sports. But Bob, he's been around the old campus here, so to speak. He's been coast to coast from one end of the state to the other during the high school football season, and he'll talk and maybe give us some insight on the state championship games coming up next week at Memorial Stadium.
Awesome to have Bob coming back full circle, too, because he led off Huddle Up on our debut show right after Labor Day to kind of christen and kick off the high school football season, and now he comes back to put the polish on everything all together and talk about the road to Lincoln for all these teams that are playing for a state championship on Monday. So great to get Bob back in the air chair, so to speak, in studio to pick his brain and pick his thoughts. Looking forward to that conversation.
I'm concerned because usually when we get Bob on the air, we have minimal airtime. Bob is one of those guys where he's not short on words. He wanted to do it on Friday, and I said, oh, no. Friday would not be a good day for us because we have our Blazing 5 at 7:30, and I wanted to get Bob in here early. It's in the 7:15 slot, so I said, oh, that's probably not going to work, Bob. Just knowing how you talk, we have something scheduled at 7:30 that we got to do. I said, how about Thursday? He said, yep, Thursday will work.
Thursday will work.
Thursday
well, good,
will work.
good.
So anyway, that is coming up on Thursday here on the show. We want to talk about, before we get to our news and sports break, we want to talk about Nebraska women's basketball. Last night, they beat North Alabama by the score of 85-48. That was not the big story in the ball game last night. Our leading scorer, Natalie Potts, went down in the first half with an apparent knee injury. She had to be helped off the floor last night. She returned in the second half and then sat behind the bench in street clothes, being aided by crutches. So Potts, who's been a big part of the Nebraska women's basketball team for the past couple of years, again, she was a leading scorer so far this season. She went down last night. They're going to evaluate her today. I don't expect good news out of this. The Huskers sitting at 5-0 on the season may have their leading scorer on the bench early in the year. Some other players stepped up last night and led the team in scoring, but that's a big blow for the Nebraska women's basketball team as Potts goes down. The Huskers will play at Creighton on Friday, so both the women's and men's teams will play at Creighton on Friday. The women will play at 4 and the guys will play at 7. You can watch the Nebraska men Friday night against the Blue Jays on FS1. So some bad news, and we've got some comments coming up from Coach Williams here in just a couple of minutes. But that's definitely a shocker for Nebraska women's basketball fans. They won last night, but they lose a big star off of their team.
Well, and anytime you say street clothes and crutches, the indication, for at least from our vantage point, isn't going to be very good news. Hopefully, we'll hear some positive news here coming out later today. But the strength of those teams is how you battle through adversity, and here's some early adversity for the Nebraska women's basketball program. So we'll see how they kind of flex and maneuver their lineup a little bit with one of the leading scorers out. But yeah, certainly kind of a gut punch in that win. Even though you pick up the win, you still kind of feel uneasy about things moving forward with the star player out of the lineup.
All right, it's 7:17 already on Extreme Sports. You're listening to Huddle Up with Mike Will, Tyson Hronik. We'll get you started with our first check of news here this morning.
It's time for a morning news update on Extreme Sports.
News this hour brought to you in part by Hastings Federal Credit Union, lighting the way to financial success since 1946. Hastings Federal Credit Union is proud to be your trusted long-term financial partner. As a nonprofit financial cooperative, the credit union is owned by the members who join, and joining the credit union is as simple as opening a primary savings account. You can get from point A to point B and everywhere in between with a low-rate vehicle loan. Whether you're committed to camping or love living the lake life, you can also count on Hastings Federal Credit Union to finance your next big toy. They even do personal loans for life's little curveballs. With affordable loan rates, convenient repayment options, and a friendly local service and staff who knows you by name, you can see for yourself what the credit union difference is all about. That's Hastings Federal Credit Union, 707 North Marion Road, or online at hastingsfcu.org. Hastings Federal Credit Union is an equal housing lender. We'll start off this morning with news from Hastings Public Schools, as HPS will have a new superintendent. The district's Board of Education accepting the resignation letter on Monday for Jeff Schneider, who is retiring after working at HPS for 31 years. Hastings Public Schools hired a national search firm to help the district find their next superintendent. With a new chapter unfolding at the Heartland Event Center, the first position for the new management has been filled. Kyler Tarwater has been given the title of new executive director for the Heartland Event Center. Tarwater comes to Central Nebraska after helping manage the Topeka Performing Arts Center, which means he's also bringing with him a history of booking events here in the Midwest. The Heartbeat Creative District in Hastings was recently named as a certified Nebraska Creative District and thus awarded a $10,000 Nebraska Arts Council certification grant. The Nebraska Creative District program utilizes the arts as an economic driver to support communities in Nebraska by telling their stories and evaluating the value of arts. With the $10,000 certification grant, those involved in the Creative District can begin exploring options to further their marketing efforts for downtown through the development of a marketing survey and social media plan, as well as the transition of the Creative District Strategic Plan. In 2020, the Nebraska State Legislature passed a bill to create the Creative Districts program. Meanwhile, Hastings Fire and Rescue were busy for a short period last night as they responded to a garage fire at 711 East 4th Street shortly before 9 p.m. The fire was under control within 10 minutes. The cause of the fire currently unknown, and nobody was inside of the garage at the time. Meanwhile, yesterday morning, a fatal accident occurring in Merritt County as sheriff's deputies were called to Ormsby Road in rural Merritt County regarding a one-vehicle injury accident. A preliminary investigation has indicated that a pickup was traveling westbound on Ormsby Road, crossed the center of the roadway, entered the south ditch, and rolled over. The driver, 32-year-old Dylan Duggar of Palmer, received minor injuries, while the passenger, 23-year-old Haley Vlack of Palmer, was pronounced deceased at the scene. The investigation is still ongoing at this time. 7:20, Mike, we'll swing things back over your way. What's going on in sports?
Well, the Nebraska football team completes its 2024 home schedule on Saturday afternoon when the Huskers take on the Wisconsin Badgers. Nebraska is 5-5 in the season, 2-5 in the conference after last week's 28-20 loss to USC. The Badgers are 5-5. They're 3-4 in the league after dropping a 16-13 decision to Oregon. 3 of Wisconsin's losses have come against teams currently ranked in the nation's top 10. Kickoff with the game on Saturday will be at 2:30. You'll be able to see it on BTN. The Nebraska women's basketball team beat North Alabama 85-48 last night, but may have lost leading scorer Natalie Potts. She went down with a knee injury in the first half and had to be helped off of the floor. She returned in the second half and sat behind the bench in street clothes, being aided by crutches. Callan Hake scored a career-high 17 points for the Huskers. Jessica Petrie pitched in with a career-high 14. Nebraska is now 5-0 in the season and will play at Creighton on Friday. Tip-off will be at 4. The Nebraska men will play Creighton at 7 on FS1. Merriman Miller of Hastings College has been named the Co-Defender of the Year in the Great Plains Athletic Conference. Miller was included on the All-Conference first team along with teammate Majesta Velasic. Michael O'Neill and Alexis Pontine were named to the second team. Defensive end Quillen Felton of Nebraska Kearney was a unanimous selection to the MIAA All-Conference first team. Felton had 66 total tackles this year. He led the MIAA in tackles for loss and was tied for first in sacks, while also having 6 quarterback hurries. And Boise State moved ahead of BYU in the college football playoff rankings released last night, putting the Broncos in position to receive a first-round bye ahead of the Big 12 champion. BYU dropped from number 6 to number 14 after dropping a 17-13 decision to Kansas on Saturday. The top 5 teams remain the same: Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, and Indiana. Rounding out the top 10 are Notre Dame, Alabama, Miami, Ole Miss, and Georgia. The first-round matchups would look like this if the playoffs were held today. BYU would play at Ohio State, Georgia at Penn State, Ole Miss at Indiana, and Alabama at Notre Dame. In the NBA last night, Boston beat Cleveland 120-117. That's the first loss of the season for the Cavaliers. Cleveland is now 15-1 on the season. 7:23 here on Extreme Sports.
It's time for a morning weather update on Extreme Sports with Chief Meteorologist Tim Jones.
Plenty of sunshine on this Wednesday, but it'll be breezy, and we will have a fire danger as well. Hey, everybody, Tim Jones here. 48 degrees the high today. We'll have winds west-northwest, 15 to 25 miles per hour, gusts up to 40. That'll increase the fire danger. There is a red flag warning from noon until 6 o'clock. 25 is the overnight low, clear skies, plenty of sunshine. Thursday, a high of 44. 23 Thursday night, Friday morning, we're close to 50, and upper 40s to 50s through the weekend.
Right now in Hastings, winds blowing out of the northwest at 18, some gusts at 30. We've got clear skies 31 in Hastings at Extreme Sports.
This holiday season, take control of your health and give the gift of wellness at Bamboo Spa and Wellness Center. From November 10th through December 31st, we're here to help you unwind, rejuvenate, and feel your best. Treat yourself or a loved one to our soothing massages, relaxing head spa scalp treatments, and luxurious Glow 2 facials. Discover the healing benefits of ozone therapy and frequency healing. Looking for an extra special gift? Our gift certificates are the perfect way to share the gift of wellness. Plus, become a member and enjoy 24-hour access to our exclusive therapeutic amenities, including the infrared sauna, hydro massage, and cryo lounge. Members also save 20% on all services and 10% on products from our non-toxic retail shop. Give the gift of health, peace. Enjoy this holiday season only at Bamboo Spa and Wellness Center.
Extreme Sports has been bringing you the exclusive home of Hastings College Athletics, and we're just getting started. Thanks to our incredible sponsors and your support, Extreme Sports 2 has been a huge success. And now we're excited to announce the launch of Extreme Sports 3. With Extreme Sports 3, you'll get even more local sports coverage. Plus, 24/7 access to Sports by Line, where you'll hear the best in national sports talk. Whether it's Hastings College, high school action, or the latest from around the sports world, we've got it covered across all three streams. And don't forget, when we're not broadcasting games, join us weekday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m. for Huddle Up with Mike Will and Tyson Havronik. It's the perfect way to start your day with sports, news, weather, and great local interviews. So tune in, check out all three streams, and stay with us for even more sports coverage coming soon. Thank you to our sponsors for making it all possible, and to you, our listeners, for keeping Extreme Sports strong.
Good morning. You're listening to Huddle Up here today on Extreme Sports. Mike Will, Tyson Havronik, whether you're watching us on our website, x-streamsports.com, on your smartphone with our free mobile app, on your smart speaker, on Roku TV, on Facebook Live, on YouTube, or on Twitch. Glad to have you aboard here for this a Wednesday morning. We talked about the Nebraska women's basketball team. Again, the Huskers winning last night over North Alabama by the score of 85-48 to improve to 5-0 on the season. Head coach Amy Williams, after the game, said she was happy with what she saw.
I thought maybe to start this ball game, we had the exact opposite going than we did up in South Dakota the other day. I thought our offense was clicking on all cylinders in South Dakota, and maybe we didn't guard the way we wanted to. But that first quarter, only giving up 4 points. I thought defensively we were pretty locked into the scouting report there early, and just our offense was a little pants on fire, and too many turnovers and a few missed layups there early. But we were able to bounce back and overcome some adversity through this ball game and lean into each other. And I'm just proud of our group for doing that.
That adversity was Natalie Potts, their leading scorer, going down in the first half with an apparent knee injury. She had to be helped from the floor to the locker room. She came back in the second half, sat behind the bench in street clothes, being aided by some crutches, so it doesn't look good for Natalie Potts. We'll wait for the official word today. But the coach says several players stepped up in her absence.
Yeah, I mean, I was really proud of players like, Amaya Hargrove, Jess Petrie, who kind of bounced back and forth in both of our forward positions. And then Kendall Coley is somebody that we trained this entire offseason in our wing position. And then all of a sudden today we threw her out there and said, hey, can you go run the 4? And she hasn't practiced it. She hasn't run any of those positions in any of our practices for months. But she just said, hey, whatever this team needs me to do. And so I'm just really proud of the way that the team all found ways to step up. Kendall Moriarty rebounding down the floor. Everybody just trying to pitch in and make up for Natalie's absence.
So again, the Huskers 5-0 in the season. They will play at Creighton on Friday, 4 o'clock starting time, with the men playing at 7. So we'll wait and see. We'll get some news out of the Husker camp later on today. So that's just one of the big things going on the state scene. A couple other notes we didn't get to in sports. Florida Atlantic has fired head football coach Tom Herman. Herman was 6-16 in 2 years with the school. Florida Atlantic is 0-6 in the AAC this year. Herman, of course, also coached at Texas and at Houston. He is the 4th AAC coach to get fired this year, as East Carolina, Temple, and Rice have all fired their head coaches. A majority of these 6 transitioning Conference USA teams have struggled with the adjustment to their new conference, the AAC, as 5 of the 7 schools are at the bottom of the AAC standings. So, they fire Tom Herman, who was a good coach. He was at Texas and at Houston, but he is out after just basically 2 years with a school at Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, kind of a putter out there for the Florida Atlantic Owls. Found it interesting that, you had that Temple Florida Atlantic game, which was a week ago, in a battle of 2 extremely bad teams. Monday morning, Temple comes out, they fire their coach, and then as the week progresses, the other coach involved in that battle of bad was Tom Herman, and he gets the axe there from Florida Atlantic. And, these programs announcing early before the whole regular season wraps up that they're going to make a leadership change. And obviously when you're talking about those who are trying to decide what they want to do in the transfer portal, this gives those kids not only an opportunity to get into a different situation because there's going to be some change, but also for those that have eyeballs on some other programs to take a look at some of these smaller schools and say, well, hey, they're going to have a new coach coming in, brand new system, might have a shot to be able to get some significant minutes down there. So I think that's why we're seeing a lot more of these decisions being made at an early stage, kind of a rollover effect of the impact of the circus that is the transfer portal in college football.
But once again, Tom Herman at Florida Atlantic, 2 years. 2 years is all they really gave him, and they ousted him down there. You go back to the situation. Is 2 years enough? And we went through this. I know we discussed this with Scott Frost and all the times that the past couple of years here in Nebraska. But
yep.
God, that's how the fan base and everybody down there at it. I'm not just singling out to Florida Atlantic, but anywhere you go, 2 years you got to have a winner. And it's happened. It's happened at Indiana. I know there's other teams that have turned around a program for 2 years, but they give Tom Herman 2 years, who's a good coach. He's got some major experience at Texas and at Houston. So I think he was trying to resurrect his career down there at Florida Atlantic. And they give him 2 years, and they give him the axe.
And ECW 0126 says Tom Herman's second verse was the same as the first in terms of his success over at FAU. But back to the programs and back to the longevity of these coaching contracts. Hell yes, 2 years is long enough now. We are no longer living in the era where you bring in freshmen and get to watch those freshmen grow and mature and work their way through the program. Your expectations in today's day and age in college football here in 2024, with what has been set aside with transfer portal and NIL deals, and the fact that this is just big as business as the NFL at this point, and let's call it reality. It's no longer amateur sports. It's not college sports anymore.
This sound is processed by Stereo Tool. Go to stereotool.com.
And it's for winning. And you have to be built to win and flip a program in a very short amount of time, or you're on to the next campus or next coordinator position. Your expectations now, with all of the tools that you have at your disposal to be able to build programs and build programs quickly, is lengthening that, or excuse me, shortening that fuse that you have to do it with. That's just the reality of college football here in 2024. And then I think we're going to see this growing continued trend where very similar to the NFL. You know, you look at the Browns and the Jets and who else is a team? The Panthers that have just gone through a Rolodex of coaches to try to basically throw something on the wall and see what sticks and see what works. College football is going to go right down that exact same path with all of the changes and the new landscape that is college football.
Matt Rule is in his second year.
Got to be a winner. Got to make that progression.
We're 5-5. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying.
I know you are.
I'm just saying. Anyway, you brought up the Jets. Where are they headed? They fired their coach 6 weeks ago. Now, yesterday I see they fired their general manager after 5+ seasons. So you know there's going to be a turnover in the New York Jets organization. And you know who is the coach or the quarterback there, mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers. What about his future with the Jets? He's got another year left on the contract. He says he wants to play next year. Are we going to go through another offseason? Where is Aaron Rodgers going to land to play? Because if they're cleaning house, you're getting rid of your GM, you're getting rid of the head coach, you're probably going to get rid of Aaron Rodgers too. So he's probably not going to – I would be very, very surprised to see him play quarterback for the New York Jets next year. So we'll have another offseason. Where's Aaron Rodgers going to end? Anyway, the Jets, they're a train.
Who's playing that game? Like who's playing that game with you? Where's Aaron Rodgers going to land? It'll be if a tree falls in the forest, you know. I mean that's kind of my mentality when I look at Aaron Rodgers, and he has passed that prime. He's passed that image of what he once was as a great quarterback. I don't think he's got it in him anymore. I mean, he might land and play as a backup, but I don't think anyone in the NFL is trying to win the Aaron Rodgers lottery to have him as a starting quarterback. I just don't.
I think it might be maybe a plan for retirement then, huh?
Big, yeah. I mean, or all the coaches and coordinators that are needed, hop up in the booth, put a headset on, young man.
I don't think you're going to see him go anywhere as a backup. I can't see Aaron Rodgers being the number 2 or number 3 quarterback on the Cincinnati Bengals.
ECW says the Jets are headed to the CFL.
They might be. Back to when we talked about if you finish last in the NFL, we got to throw you out of the league. Go to the XFL.
Do the English Premier League system, get the Toronto Argonauts up here.
Or whatever that league is nowadays. You get thrown out.
That's the UFL. We were talking about Canadian Football League.
You get thrown out. You get thrown out. And we'll bring you back when you get good again.
Come on, Battlehawks.
Anyway, yeah, the Jets making some moves yesterday. The GM is now out. Joe Douglas, he was there for 5 years. Fired the coach 6 weeks ago. So now they got a senior football advisor for the Jets. He's been named the interim general manager. So
I'm glad you clarified that Jets news for me, because I did see that on my Facebook feed, and I immediately said, who the hell is that? And because it's the New York Jets, I didn't even bother clicking on the link to read further. I just said, oh, the Jets got rid of somebody else. That wasn't a shocker to me. So I'm glad you cleared that up, that was the general manager.
Well, I knew we had some Jets fans that listen to the show quite religiously, and I just want to make sure that they were part of our group here, that we were concerned about the Jets.
We'll throw you in some Jets news every now and then. Do Jets fans even want to hear Jets news at this point, though? Oh, more misery coming our way.
Anyway, thanks for listening to us. Again, if you'd like to join us, we'd love to chat with you. 402-834-1330 is our telephone number. 402-834-1330. Drop us a message on Facebook Live, and we'll get to those messages as well. Again, tomorrow on the show, we're going to be talking with Bob Jensen from Huskerland Prep, and we'll get things started with a discussion about the state high school football championship games that are coming up on Monday and Tuesday in Lincoln. So that's kind of why we're putting that on the back burner for now. We'll get a full discussion of high school football championship style football coming up for the rest of the week here. So we told you Dana Holgerson was going to be before the media for the first time. He's our new offensive coordinator for the Huskers, and he jumped before the Gurus in Lincoln yesterday. And obviously the first question is, why would you come to Nebraska? Well, the coach said he was bored and he needed a job. And for some reason, I don't have Dana Holgerson.
You want me to try the on my end? Hang on just a second.
I can, if you'd like.
Well, let's try to hit the button here.
All right, we'll look at that.
Okay, well, that one's frozen.
Let me see if I can bring that down, and we'll do this. He said he was bored.
Great deal of respect for Coach Rule. We visited in December, and I didn't think it was fair to him, me, or the program to do it at that point. I was tired. I'd been through a lot, and just didn't have to do it at that point, and I didn't feel like I was ready to give it my all. I was very grateful to Sonny Dykes and TCU for being a consultant there, which kept me around the game. I was there for, I think 3 weeks in camp, and then went on vacation for about 2 weeks. Came back, and I was always there. I was there for 2 weeks, and I was there for 2 games, and I didn't like being a part of the games because I wasn't a part of the games. All right, I was up in the head coach's suite for a game, and I was on the sidelines for a game, and I'm like, yeah, I don't like this part of it. If I don't have any control over it, I don't want to do it. So I would just help prep them in the beginning of the week, and then I'd go do something else. It was fun to kind of go do other things, but I was slated to go back to Fort Worth on Sunday night, and Coach Rule called, and I was like, yeah, he said, let's just come try to figure this out. I need your help. And so I was grateful to him for saying that I needed your help, and so I was like, I think a great deal of him. I think a great deal of this program. So I was excited to jump on it, rules allow it now. In years past, rules wouldn't have allowed it. So, I just wanted to insert myself and try to help Coach Rule and try to help this football team and try to help this great program.
And Dana says he didn't come to Lincoln to be the offensive coordinator or to call plays.
I got here and I got into a room and started watching video, and Coach sat in there with me for a couple hours, and a couple of the offensive coaches started coming in. They didn't know what was going on, and we didn't know either. We're just like, we just need to try to figure this out. And I think everybody was professional about it. I think we got really good coaches here. All the offensive coaches are coaching hard. Been very impressed with how they're coaching each one of their positions, including Coach Satterfield coaching the tight ends and giving me information on, what this term means, what that term means. And I don't remember the timeline as far as when we made that decision. I know, at first I was like, I don't know if I can learn it to call it. Who else can call it? I don't know if I should be. Then I decided, okay, I got it. This probably 3 or 4 days later, I go, okay, I got a handle on it. I think I can do it. He's like, do it. And then a week later, I'm like, geez, I don't know if I should be in the box to call it or on the sidelines to call it. And I think Friday we made the decision. I think, Susan, I told you on Friday that I'm going to go ahead and go downstairs. That's just where I'm comfortable. I haven't been up in the box since 2007, and so I made that decision to do that. And so I don't know the timeline. It was just every day was just something different, and learned more every day, got to know people more every day. The offensive staff continued to work together, and I think we're working together really good right now.
And Dana says, as far as last week was concerned, the communication with quarterback Dylan Raiola went well.
He's a very, very, very bright young man. It's just, how is this kid a freshman? Because how can he process all this information as a freshman? He knows the plays, he knows the offense, he knows how to communicate it to the players. I thought the process was really good. We had 2 snap infractions, which is 100% on the center. He will admit that. Okay, but other than that, there was nothing pre-snap. We weren't getting delay of games. We weren't scrambling to get people lined up. I mean, I thought it was very efficient. I thought our substitutions on the sidelines were really good. So that was encouraging, and I think it'll all get better. The play on the field needs to get better. The operation, I thought, was fine. So we're not sitting here trying to worry about the operation. We're trying to worry about the play on the field to get better, and that's what we're working on today, just what it looks like out there on the field.
And Dana says he saw some good things in the rushing game in the ball game against USC.
I thought we ran block well on Saturday. They say it's the O-line's best game up front. I thought we played well up front. I can't gauge it on what happened in the first 9 games, but I was pleasantly surprised with our pad level, our toughness. Assignment-wise being good. I thought we had a couple of runs that were good, tough runs that got good, tough yards, but. I know Coach Rule mentioned it yesterday. There's a lot of yards left out there. When I can push the back and there's a hole like this, and the back's not in it, it's discouraging. And so just got to get those guys to open their eyes and trust the blocks and hit it. I thought at halftime I told the running back coach, I was like, they need to hit that thing better because there are some holes there. It is what it is. You get it up to the second level. We need to get some backs that can make some guys miss in open field. Some of those tackles that USC had are hard tackles, and they made them. So I was pleased with the scheme. I was pleased with what it looked like. We have to get more production.
And you're listening to comments from Nebraska's new offensive coordinator, Dana Holgorsen. Perimeter blocking has been a problem for us all season long, and the coach says the wide receivers did a better job with that in the ball game against USC.
That's the first thing I challenged them. I was like, guys, I said, you guys are fairly big kids. I know 17's not a big kid, but he's a tough kid. But there's some good-sized kids out there. 16, 18. 4. These guys, 29. These guys are big bodies. I'm like, why are you not blocking worth the crap on the perimeter? It's embarrassing. You got being a receiver. You think, they'll want touches. Throw me the ball. First thing I said to him, if you don't start blocking out there, then you're not going to get the ball thrown to you. And this past week, it was our best perimeter blocking of the season. I was very happy with those guys, and they're proud of it, because they worked hard on it for 2 weeks. That's where it starts, and then just details of route running and ball skills. We got guys that can make plays. The problem that we probably ran into last week is not defeating man coverage. USC's very talented in their secondary. Wisconsin's very talented in their secondary. Both are going to play a lot of man. We didn't do a very good job of separation last week. We need to do a better job of that this week for us to be successful against Wisconsin.
And finally, Dana Holgorsen says he feels pressure trying to secure the 6th win for the Huskers and get Nebraska to a bowl game for the first time in 8 years.
There is pressure in coaching. I mean, anytime that you line up and you coach a game, there's pressure, so I'm gonna do. It's not gonna change what I do. It's not gonna change how I coach. It's not gonna change the hours that we put in. It's not gonna change my commitment to getting us ready to go practice tomorrow morning and Thursday morning and what we try to accomplish on. Pressure is something that I'm obviously used to. I mean, I've been a head coach for 14 years and. Coaching for 32 years, you line up because of the competitive spirit that you have in you. If you give in to pressure, then you need to go do something else. And I had the opportunity to go do something else. And I'm sitting here trying to help Nebraska win. I know it's on everybody's mind. I know I get it. It's shocking to me that it's been that long since a program like this hasn't been to a bowl game. Doesn't make any sense to me, but it is where we're at. And we tried everything we could to win that game last week, and we had a chance still. And we're going to try everything that we can to win this game this week, and we'll have a chance to.
All right, so Dana Holgerson making his first appearance before the media in Lincoln yesterday. Heard some good things there, and now we'll see if he can get things figured out, so to speak. We're trying to get things figured out offensively here.
Well, and you just hear the difference in tone, right, from the offensive coordinator perspective. Obviously, he doesn't have a whole lot of history here with this program and with these players, and even calling some of the players out just by numbers. But what I really liked about that press conference yesterday, as I was listening to it, was a lot less focus on what Wisconsin is going to do defensively that is going to challenge our offense, and a lot more on just the simple, hey, we got to execute better. If you get a hole that gets created, young man, you got to be able to run through that hole. If you don't block, you don't play. I love the onus and I love the focus on everything that we need to do as an offense to get better. And, you talk about hearing things like, it's shocking to me that this program hasn't been to a bowl game in X number of years. And it was embarrassing to watch their wide receivers on perimeter blocking. He comes in and he immediately just puts eyeballs. He doesn't, not even focusing on Wisconsin and what they're going to do. He puts eyeballs on us and what are the things we can do to get better now, to get this team to be able to get to 6 wins and get me to stop screaming at my television on a Saturday. I love what I heard from him, and it was it's just football talk, I mean, that's a football coach doing football talk that gets a football fan excited about football again on Saturday. Go Big Red.
All right, so the Huskers will take on Wisconsin this week. 2:30 starting time at Memorial Stadium. It'll be seen on the Big Ten Network. So, are you hosting the party on Saturday or going someplace?
Who knows at this point?
Last time you hosted, everybody left at halftime.
Yeah, and then this time I went somewhere else and lost my voice. So I don't know. I might take the Buffalo Bills, Kansas City approach and just sign up to go work somewhere for a shift because my favorite teams do better when I don't have eyeballs on them. And certainly my voice does too. So maybe we just skip the whole thing altogether and just cross our fingers and hope and pray for a dub.
Probably not going to happen. 7:51. You're listening to Mike and Tyson. This is Huddle Up on Extreme Sports.
It's time for a morning news update on Extreme Sports.
News update this hour brought to you by Hastings Federal Credit Union, where since 1946, Hastings Federal Credit Union has been a part of the Hastings community, and it's community that is at the heart of everything they do. As a nonprofit financial cooperative, the credit union is owned by the members who join, and joining the credit union is as simple as opening a primary savings account. Committed to providing the highest level of quality services, the Hastings Federal Credit Union provides banking services to all those living or working in Adams, Clay, Webster, Nuckolls, Thayer, and Fillmore counties. With affordable loan rates, mobile banking, and a friendly staff who treats you like family, why would you go anywhere else? It's Hastings Federal Credit Union, 707 North Marion Road, or online at hastingsfcu.org. Hastings Federal Credit Union is an equal housing lender. We start off this morning at Hastings Public Schools, where Hastings Public Schools will have a new superintendent. The district's Board of Education accepted the resignation letter on Monday for Jeff Schneider, who is retiring after working at HPS for 31 years. Hastings Public Schools hired a national search firm to help the district find their next superintendent. With a new chapter unfolding at the Heartland Event Center, the first position for the new management has been filled. Kyle Tarwater has been given the title of new executive director for the HEC. Tarwater comes to Central Nebraska after helping manage the Topeka Performing Arts Center, which means he's also bringing with him a history of booking events here in the Midwest. The Heartbeat District in Hastings was recently named a certified Nebraska Creative District and awarded a $10,000 Nebraska Arts Council certification grant. The Nebraska Creative District program utilizes the arts as an economic driver to support communities in Nebraska by telling their stories and elevating the value of arts. With the $10,000 certification grant, those involved in the Creative District can also begin exploring options to further the marketing efforts for downtown through the development of a marketing survey and social media plan, as well as the transition of the Creative District strategic plan. In 2020, the Nebraska State Legislature passed a bill to create the Creative Districts program. Hastings Fire and Rescue busy last night as they responded to a fire in a garage at 711 East 4th Street shortly before 9 o'clock last night. The fire quickly under control in about 10 minutes. Cause of the fire currently unknown. Nobody was inside the garage at the time. And yesterday morning, a fatal accident occurring in Merrick County as the sheriff's deputies were called to Ormsby Road in rural Merrick County regarding a one-vehicle injury accident. A preliminary investigation revealing that a pickup was traveling westbound on Ormsby, crossing the center of the roadway, entering the south ditch and rolling over. The driver, 32-year-old Dylan Duggar of Palmer, received minor injuries, while the passenger, 23-year-old Haley Vlatch of Palmer, was pronounced deceased at the scene. The investigation is still ongoing at this time. It's coming up on 5 minutes until 8 o'clock. Let's swing things back over to the East Side Studios. Mike, what's going on in sports?
The Nebraska football team completes its 2024 home schedule on Saturday when the Huskers take on the Wisconsin Badgers. Nebraska 5-5 in the season, 2-5 in the conference after last week's 28-20 loss to USC. The Badgers are 5-5. They are 3-4 in the league after dropping a 16-13 decision to Oregon. 3 of Wisconsin's losses have come against teams currently ranked in the nation's top 10. Kick off with a game on Saturday at 2:30. You'll be able to see it on BTN. The Nebraska women's basketball team beat North Alabama 85-48 last night, but may have lost their leading scorer, Natalie Potts. She went down with a knee injury in the first half and had to be helped off of the floor. She returned in the second half and sat behind the bench in street clothes, being aided by crutches. Callan Hake scored a career-high 17 points for the Huskers. Jessica Petrie pitched in with a career-high 14. Nebraska now 5-0 in the season and will play at Creighton on Friday. Tip-off will be at 4. The Nebraska men will play Creighton at 7 on FS1. Merriman Miller of Hastings College has been named the Co-Defender of the Year in the Great Plains Athletic Conference. Miller was included on the All-Conference first team, along with teammate Majesta Volasic. Micah O'Neill and Alexis Pontine were named to the second team. Defensive end Quillen Felton of Nebraska Kearney was a unanimous selection to the MIAA All-Conference first team. Felton had 66 total tackles this year. He led the MIAA in tackles for loss and was tied for first in sacks while also having 6 quarterback hurries. And Boise State moved ahead of BYU in the college football playoff rankings released last night, putting the Broncos in position to receive a first-round bye ahead of the Big 12 champion. BYU dropped from number 6 to number 14 after dropping a 17-13 decision to Kansas on Saturday. The top 5 teams remain the same: Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, and Indiana. Rounding out the top 10 are Notre Dame, Alabama, Miami, Ole Miss, and Georgia. The first-round matchups would look like this: BYU at Ohio State, Georgia at Penn State, Ole Miss and Indiana, and Alabama at Notre Dame. That's a check in your sports headlines coming up on 7:57 on Extreme Sports.
It's time for a morning weather update on Extreme Sports with Chief Meteorologist Tim Jones.
Plenty of sunshine on this Wednesday, but it'll be breezy, and we will have a fire danger as well. Hey, everybody, Tim Jones here. 48 degrees the high today. We'll have winds west-northwest, 15 to 25 miles per hour, gusts up to 40. That'll increase the fire danger. There is a red flag warning from noon until 6 o'clock. 25 is the overnight low, clear skies, plenty of sunshine Thursday, a high of 44. 23 Thursday night, Friday morning, we're close to 50, and upper 40s to 50s through the weekend.
Northwest winds this morning at 18, gusting to 30. Clear skies, it is 31 in Hastings at Extreme Sports.
Accessible and affordable holistic care is just around the corner at Bamboo Spa and Wellness Center. Located at 208 South Burlington Avenue, Suite 101 in Hastings. At Bamboo Spa, we offer a range of therapies to help you unwind and recharge. Experience soothing massages, rejuvenating head spa scalp treatments, and our Advanced Glow 2 facials. Discover the healing power of ozone therapy and frequency healing. Become a member for exclusive 24-hour access to our therapeutic amenities, including the infrared sauna, hydro massage, and cryo lounge. Members enjoy 20% off all services and 10% off products in our non-toxic retail shop. Visit our Facebook page to learn more and book your appointment today. Bamboo Spa and Wellness Center, truly holistic care, designed for you.
All right, Mike Will, Tyson and Veronica here, huddle up on Extreme Sports. Again, this Saturday, we've got college football coming your way as Hastings College will play at Briar Cliff up in Sioux City. Women's game will be at 2 with the guys to follow at 3:45 on the air with a pregame show at 1:45 on Saturday afternoon. Monday, we've got the Class D1 State High School Football Championship game. Sandy Creek taking on Stanton. That game scheduled to go at 2:45 on Monday, 2:30 for the pregame show here on Extreme Sports. So that's what's coming up as far as our broadcasts are concerned. A lot more to talk about throughout the week. Again, Bob Jensen from Huskerland Prep, he's going to join us tomorrow to talk about the State High School Football Championship ball games. And, of course, Friday we've got the Blazing Five and a whole lot more. So we're just scratching the surface, so to speak. A lot going on this week in sports.
A lot going on this weekend. Not a whole lot going on tonight in terms of your overall sports picture. A pretty light night on the old TV guide. But I guess if you're tuning in to watch a ball game, why not get a little MAC action, Maction as they like to call it. You got Eastern Michigan going up against Buffalo at ESPNU. That's a 6 o'clock start. The Eagles, they're playing for some bowl eligibility. The rest of the MAC teams that are in action tonight are all bowl eligible. Eastern Michigan trying to get to win number 6. They're hanging out with us with 5 wins. So maybe flip over there at 6 p.m. Other than that, maybe Suns and Knicks, but it's pretty rough slate.
Is the MAC, are they playing all their games like during the week now or what?
Yep, they play a lot in the, especially later in the season. They do a lot of Tuesday and midweek games, just to get some more visibility, get some eyeballs on the conference and some TV ratings. So I love it. There's nothing better than like just a random Wednesday MAC game, and that's what we have the opportunity to put eyeballs on tonight.
All right, so that's your TV schedule for the night. Again, we'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock with Huddle Up here on Extreme Sports. Have yourself a